Hey everybody, welcome to another installment of our Rambling Film Group podcast. Today we're going to be talking Shazam. We are a part. Oh, excuse me, and we'll touch on Captain Marvel as well. We'll touch on both the I don't want to say Marvel superheroes because somebody's going to get confused and say that I don't know what I'm talking about. But if you actually know, then you know what I'm talking about. But we're going to be talking about both those heroes that one time or another shared a namesake, but focusing more on Shazam because that is still coming a week after. Yeah, we saw it. We saw it like 2 weeks early with those special previews. So we're going to be talking about that primarily. Before we dive in, I want to go ahead and, in case you're tuning in for the first time, introduce the rest of the group or the panel with me. So beside me, we have Kelsey.
Hi, guys.
And then remote, we have Sai.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, I don't think there's anything else to really preface, so I think we'll just go ahead and jump in.
We're starting Shazam, or are we starting Captain Marvel?
What do you guys think?
I mean, we might as well start with Captain Marvel since it's like a real quick kind of blurb we'll probably just give about it.
Okay.
Because it's been out for a bit.
Yeah, it's been out for a little bit. And you might wonder why we didn't talk about it already. Just it was just a situation where the timing just didn't work out for us between what we've got going on, what Sai's got going on. It's just in case you guys are following us intently or intensely, whatever the right phrase is grammatically, I'm not sure. And I've wondered why it's a little more spotty with us being able to drop some off. Is the two of us, we're going to be parents for the first time, in case you guys didn't already know. So I'm
going nowhere with my life, as you can tell. Absolutely fucking nowhere.
Stop it.
Well, excuse me. All that is to say, I know for sure on our end we got a lot we're trying to take care of.
We're trying to move.
And and we don't have a whole lot of time before he gets here. So we apologize for content kind of coming here and there for a little bit. But that's the main reason why I don't think we got a really chance to touch on Captain Marvel until today. But I'll go first, if you guys don't mind.
Thoughts? Impressions?
My thoughts were, from how certain reactions I was seeing on like social media and whatnot, I thought this could like potentially just be I don't want to say a disaster, but like a closer to flat out bad movie, and I didn't feel that watching it. I don't think there's justification to bad. What I do say about it is, even in I have a personal bias. It's not as strong nowadays in terms of films, but going back 3+ years, my bias would go more towards enjoying DC films, and part of that is because I've always felt like there's a little bit more dynamic element. There's just more things that set them apart from other counterparts that come out in Hollywood. And I just felt like Captain Marvel was just like a really good example of, we have so many of these films nowadays. I feel like you really have to do something to stand out and be memorable. And I unfortunately feel like the only real element that's at play in that movie that counts towards that is that it's the first female-led Marvel film. And that's something great. I'm glad they finally got around to it. There's 20+ movies and they finally did it. But it's just, unfortunately, I feel like I don't know the character all that well, but I would just say I feel like the character I feel like they deserve a better or more dynamic movie. I just feel like it's just it's a forgettable film to me. Yeah, that's my personal opinion that kind of summarized.
Yeah, I think that kind of sums up for me too. I loved feeling like that was fine, and that's basically what it kind of sums up how I feel. It wasn't bad. I still enjoyed it. I wasn't sitting there like, wow, that's hours of my life I'm never going to get back again. What the hell did I just do to myself? But it was just fine. Yeah, so I think that's basically it for me, without getting into like specific things where like what I had issues with.
I mean, I think we can get into specifics, like we've mentioned.
Okay.
It's been out for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks now.
True. That's true.
You know, people, there will be spoilers. There will probably be. We probably won't talk about spoilers when it comes to the Shazam because we're talking about it like really, really early. So that one obviously will have less spoilers. But when it comes to Captain Marvel, if you haven't seen it already, whatever.
Why are you 2+ weeks later going to a review to hear about it if you haven't yet watched it?
Okay, well then specifically, there was like one... Every time that girl ran or moved...
You did have a problem with that.
I was immediately taken out because she looks like one of the most unathletic, like just naturally runners I've ever seen in my life. So that was something... The first time she ran, Charles was like, is she sprinting? Is that her full thing? And I'm like, is she pigeon-toed? Like, why is she running like that? She doesn't walk that way, but she kind of runs with her feet, like, in. So it's weird. And it looks like her body's, like, moving, but her legs are like, doo, doo, doo.
Real quick, for anyone that could potentially cry, like, oh, we're being, like, anti-feminism or something like that.
Nope.
We all have the same feeling about how, what's his name? Ezra Miller runs in Justice League.
Oh, 100%.
Well, even heightened because his is just like hers. She's not athletic.
She's not athletic.
His is wholly unnatural. Like that's not how humans move.
No, it's odd. It's odd, but it's the same thing. Like the same way when I see Flash run in Justice League and stuff, where you're kind of taken out of it because you're like, what the hell's this guy doing? Right, kind of takes you out of it. That's how I felt when she was moving. So she would run. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? And so like that's just a nitpicky thing, but it was kind of funny. And then every single time, like she would go to like run or move or something like that. I'm like, wow, this girl's just not athletic, which is fine. She's gorgeous. She's an actress. She has basically everything else. She doesn't need to be athletic on top of it. So it's fine. But yeah, that was something that's nitpicky. And then it's just one of the things that stood out to me the most, which is funny, but. And then I think that the ending for me, I felt underwhelmed in terms of the action and like the fighting, because you see her like display this intense power in front of what's his name?
Marvel.
No.
She's talking about like the bad guy who was in
Thanos. What is his name?
Ronan.
Yes. Thank you. I could not remember his name. Being like in front of Ronan stuff, which is great because we get to like see her actually like do all of this stuff, and I'm like, yes, there's that badass girl that I've been wanting to see. And then, but like that's kind of
that's kind of the climax in terms of
and that's kind of
her powers, yeah.
So that's the plus and kind of minus of Captain Marvel's story being tethered to 2 movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like they did that on purpose to show that like even Ronan, who our first introduction of him is the invasion of Earth, and then also on top of that he's in what is that movie series that everybody's happy because the director's back and I won't even
Guardians.
Thank you. He's in Guardians. And so like he's an extremely powerful character in those, and so to like see him kind of run away with his tail between his legs at that point does show you just how powerful Captain Marvel is. But since you don't really they don't fully explain that, it does kind of take it. It doesn't make it feel as serious as it is in the movie. You kind of need it to be explained to you after the movie for you to be like, oh. Okay, and it's something that could have easily been explained in the movie. As far as how I felt about it, I won't say it was forgettable because of just the transition. And again, I don't know if this is a plus about the movie or just because of the universe aspect of it. Just where it sits itself in the MCU is kind of a major point in any way, so I can't really say that it's forgettable. But I do understand that if you're gonna just look at it by itself, like if it was just a movie that Marvel and Disney put out. There was no other connection to it, and this is what we got. I would understand feeling a little bit lackluster, especially considering this is like the first major superhero movie, regardless of DC and Marvel, that is female-based outside of Wonder Woman. Other than Wonder Woman, I can't think of another hero movie that's the main character has been a female lead.
You're saying superhero or just in general?
A superhero.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of
I know there was like Elektra back in the day and Catwoman.
Oh yeah, I forget about that.
We should not consider those.
Yeah, I wouldn't really.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Those do a disservice, I think.
But yeah.
Especially Catwoman.
I do remember seeing Catwoman at the double feature with Spider-Man 2 at like a drive-in.
Wow, that would have been a real disappointment.
It's a big come down after Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it came second, that's a big come down. If it comes first, you end on a pretty good note. But I can't remember which one came first. If
Catwoman plays first, I'm leaving that theater.
Yeah, I don't even get to Spider-Man. I wouldn't even get to Spider-Man if that was first. I would just be so upset with what I was watching that I would just want to go home.
I'm done.
But you already invested at that point. You sent the money.
Yeah, but if I leave early enough, I can get the money back.
At a drive-in? I haven't been into a drive-in in a long time.
I feel like a drive-in is still where if you leave early enough, you can get your money back.
I was gonna say we should go sometime, but we're moving. And
we should still go. I've been asking to go for so long.
Do not act like it's like me.
It wasn't attacking you. I'm just saying, like,
I felt attacked.
It's been on our minds.
All right, okay.
Charles has had a very stressful day today, so he's a little snappy. At least with me.
My bad. I misinterpreted the situation. I thought I was the target.
No. Definitely not. I'm just saying, like, we've been wanting to. It just hasn't happened.
It just hasn't.
Anyway. Yeah, I guess you're saying I wouldn't... It is at, like, a really... It's like almost the peak. Like, it's, like,
right.
Of, like, this entire culmination of, like, years and stuff, so...
It makes me feel like... I've said this to a couple different people. I think I might even said it to you already, Ty, just talking about it. I feel like they would have been well served following the formula that DC did with Wonder Woman. Introduce Captain Marvel in Endgame. Don't touch too far into her backstory. Just, oh, she's here. Oh, she can help. Oh, she can really help. And build the interest in seeing just exactly what she is to her full potential there. And then put a film out afterwards that dwelled into her backstory a little bit. I feel like if I got it that way, I could potentially be more at peace with her solo being what it is right now.
So the only reason I kind of disagree with that is because, like, then, even though, yes, we may not, obviously they wouldn't go full in what her powers were if they introduced her yeah, I'm sorry. I'm totally going blank on complete movie names right now.
Wonder Woman?
No, we were talking about Avengers.
Yeah, Endgame?
But the one that came out, not Endgame, the one that comes out before.
Infinity War?
Thank you. If they introduced her in Infinity War, you wouldn't leave the theater feeling like all hope is lost.
I was saying introduce her in Endgame.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
Whatever her role is in that movie, again, not seeing the movie yet. Them. Yeah. I haven't seen the movie yet. I don't know how much her role in that movie is directly, like, following up on her solo. But me personally, I like the idea of they did similar to what they did with Wonder Woman and BVS. Introduce her there with the team to some extent and, like, build up the interest. Like, oh, crap, she's cool. And then come with her backstory afterwards.
Okay, so part of Endgame, and, like, the latest trailers kind of revealed this, is part of probably, like, the first arc and a half of what Endgame is they're searching for, like, people who are missing. They're obviously going to find where Nick kind of turned into dust, and they find the pager, and part of it is they're trying to figure out what that pager is for. And so then that kind of introduces her, and I guess you can have the pager be there and fully wait for her to get there. But I don't mind the like connecting that dot just a little bit and why he even has the pager in the first place, because that's really what Captain Marvel answers more than anything else, which I think is part of like the letdown, is it doesn't really introduce Captain Marvel. It just connects like why Nick Fury has the pager in the first place, and then also why Nick Fury is missing an eye, which I also want to say was a massive letdown as to why he's missing an eye. There were so many great moments for him to get his eye taken, and then for it to get taken the way it got taken, I was just like, really?
I was, wholly disappointed.
I honestly thought that he had already said in another movie, like, how, not necessarily how he got it taken directly, but that it, like, there was something to,
he
like...
Said, he said it was, the last time he trusted somebody, he lost an eye.
Thank you, that's what it was. And I was like, and so then when it was
the cat, I was like, what?
Are we saying that's the last thing that he trusted was his damn cat?
Yeah.
It's not really even a cat, but yeah.
Whatever the little...
Yeah, whatever.
...thing is.
But yeah, I think that kind of goes along with the whole overall idea to me. Like, I feel like they ended up they kind of shackled themselves with what they could do with this movie because they needed to explain or rather connect the dots to Endgame, when I feel like that's one movie that there truly didn't need to be any more set up for. Like, I feel like if you were going to do any other, because they have to kind of basically make their quota of movies to put out, I would have picked just like any other like random ass character that they wanted to introduce potentially there. Like, I don't know is it Shang-Chi that they've announced? And they put a director too. Is it Shang?
Oh, the first Asian character?
Yeah, is that the name of the character? Shang-Chi?
I don't recall.
I can't remember. My bad if you're a huge fan of that character and I'm messing it up. But I mean, I don't know anything of the character other than he's a martial arts expert. I don't know if there's any mystical stuff to him like Iron Fist, because that seems too similar to Iron Fist. But I'm just gonna go off of the idea that he's just a master martial artist. Knowing that and nothing else about the character, I feel like you very easily could have put a movie and made it small, localized to like a neighborhood in which this guy lives, and have basically the repercussions of the snap be what's going on, like where certain people in crime families have gotten snapped, and now there's a power struggle in the neighborhood of what, crime family or whatever, that kind of thing is going to come out to top, and it's kind of destroying the neighborhood. And so he takes his, the abilities he have to go and try to do something. That's something that you could do in the meantime, disconnected to everything that we got going on. It still is in between the movies, keeping continuity. Just me, I feel like do something out there elsewhere, like either small like that or cosmic somewhere else, instead of like making her have a movie now. So instead of being free to do whatever you wanted with her post.
So not that I disagree that it probably would have been best for them to just go somewhere else in the universe altogether, but for what she means to the universe, just the fact that she's a woman, and B, just the power that she brings, even though there's still like just other more far vastly powerful characters in Marvel, but for what she represents, for what Disney owned at the time, I think they kind of went about it the best way that they could, because if her introduction was just tied to Endgame, even if she was a key part as to what stops Thanos altogether, you're still gonna have those people who are like, why can't we get women characters in their own thing? And they're, like that then becomes a huge thing that people complain about that. And I don't think Disney wanted to deal with that. Which again, I totally agree that they probably still would have just been best off just going in a different aspect of the universe altogether and just not touching her until later on. But I could see why Disney did it the way that they did it, even though it did handcuff them in multiple ways and probably not being able to tell her story the best way that it could have been told.
My counter to that would have been, though, like, I'm not saying, like, really throwing off, like, change their slate, like, because the thing is, we've known the movies are coming. They announced their slates so far in advance that basically, if we could have taken Captain Marvel from when it did release and just make it occupy the Spider-Man Far From Home release date, and then put something else where Captain Marvel was, or really give us nothing, like make us yearn that much more for Endgame, like giving us like almost a full year gap without getting another one of their movies. I don't know. That's just me spitballing. We're just talking.
And like I said, the thing is, if you put Captain Marvel where Far From Home is, you bring up the massive complaints of people are like, why is her introduction, why does it have to be tethered to every other single character in the universe? Why couldn't it be just by itself? And I just don't know if Disney, because they wouldn't have been wrong in doing that. I wouldn't have seen anything wrong with it. But considering just how society is at the moment and how combative stuff is, that absolutely would have been a major talking piece. And I just don't think Disney wanted to like deal with that.
I don't know. At the same time, granted they undid it, but Disney fired one of their most popular directors with a quickness. So I don't really Disney cares that much about what people just.
Also, she's not the first female superhero who's been introduced, so I don't think it would have been. I mean, we already have. I want to say Scarlett Johansson, but I'm trying to say
Black Widow,
Scarlet Witch, and
and I get that, but it's
so
not
that's and the women from Black. So that's what I'm saying is like we've already kind of. I don't think anybody would have been like, well, what the hell? Because honestly, and. I mean, it's not the best thing, but it's just kind of how it works, right? Like, that's just kind of how it works. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe it's different because she's at a different tier, a different power set than everybody.
That's where it would have been different because it's not this. Granted, they could have handled Scarlet Witch in a similar situation where, like, she could have been by herself, and it would have made a lot of more sense, actually, if she had been by herself.
She's getting a series. She is getting a series.
But
the stuff with Scarlet Witch, I've already done enough rants on this. It drives me insane. I just think she's been severely underutilized.
Oh, absolutely.
So unbelievably disappointing and horrible. Whatever. I'm not getting into this yet.
So yeah, I think just the tier level is where how people discuss why it was inserted in the way it was inserted. That's where that complaint comes from. But anyway, we said we weren't really going to make a big deal about this, and I don't even want to get into like the whole directorial thing because we're not
going to go there.
I just don't. But yeah, as far as just overall what Captain Marvel is, it's an okay film. There were things that held it back. I think for me, the things that I was kind of excited to get answers about, considering it was based in the past. The answers that I got were very underwhelming in what I got. And now I'm looking forward to Endgame. Again, it doesn't hurt Endgame in any way, but I will also say I'm not super excited to see what she brings or when she does show up. And I think that's also partly because I know that she's going to kind of kick ass when she does show up. So, I'm not really excited to see what I already know I'm probably going to get.
I'll say this last thing for me on Captain Marvel. And I think I'm going to start doing this with all superhero movies going forward. I'm going to start ranking fight choreography and slash visual effects with the fights, because that and the score, like the actual music and thing, can make or break one of these movies for me. And I have to say, this is one of the generally speaking, they're pretty low nowadays, but this is one of the lowest scores I can give for fight choreography and just realization of a fight and battle with someone like this.
Especially given her power set.
Yeah, especially given her power set. So, like, if I'm giving it, if it's out of 5, this one's like a 1.5 tops. Like, it was really, I was really disappointed with what they. I'm a very imaginative person, and so it really bugs me when things are just, again, not dynamic, when there just isn't anything, when they don't really realize what's capable.
Part of that may have been the cap of what she'd been able to do, but then again, we could have just got a stunt double, so I guess it doesn't really count. But
is that CGI? So many ways to outdo that nowadays.
The one other thing I will mention is, and this is probably for me the most disappointing thing about the whole movie, is how they handled the Skrull. Because of what the Skrull could have been for the MCU moving forward was just fantastic, and they fed us through and I understand that Marvel trailers, especially since Infinity War, you never really know what you're going to get compared to the trailer and what's in the actual movie. But what they fed us as far as what the Skrull were going to be, and then compared to what we got, I am utterly disappointed.
I was so confused. I kept waiting for like the other betrayal to come.
Yeah, so was I.
And I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, so we're not
doing it.
We're not doing it.
And I don't, and not that I'm going to fully get into it, I don't mind the message that they told with the Skrull. It is an important message, but me and Chuck talked about this. They could have told that story with other characters. They didn't have to use the Skrull to tell that story. And so, yeah, it was just a major letdown when it was all over, and I was like, oh, so this is what they're doing with the Skrull. So I'm really not ever going to see this, or I shouldn't say ever see the Skrull again, but if we see, for us to see a comic book accurate version of the Skrull, they're either gonna have to portray them in a way I don't want to see them portrayed, just connection to the real world. I don't want to see that portrayed in a big movie, or I'm gonna have to wait like 10, 15 years for the Skrull to be reinvented again, kind of, for me to get a comic book accurate, and I don't really care for that either.
Yeah, the only thing I could say, like, maybe since this was set so far in the past that we can see something now where we see, like, that's not really the case anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that could be a way to easily explain it, potentially. Because, like you said, I enjoyed the message. Actually, like, I think it was good. That's obviously something that should be, like, told and, like, supported and things like that. But it was just odd to still be like sitting there waiting, like, well, when are they going back?
Because I heard from him and like other people that like, this is supposed to be one of the greatest like
threats
in the Marvel universe. So,
so that's what I'm saying. The only thing I could think is because this has taken place so far in the past, we could potentially get that story if we get like a history of like how things have changed. So like people, like those people are gone and we've come away for that. It's completely different.
It's like a new generation in power and their ideal. Yeah, that's true.
I just feel like that's one of the only ways to do it without telling a story that is not something that I want to see or support.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because...
and again, I don't think we won't get into it because, I don't really care about other people's opinion outside of that discussion. But... yeah, if they were to like go that route, I would be extremely disappointed, and I would just be like, you just ruined the kind of good side of the story you told with the Skrull to give me this.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. That's the only way that I can see it happening, somewhat new, and they could try to explain it away, and I'd be like, okay, well, that's that's fine.
Yeah. But with that being said, I think we've all kind of given our opinion on it.
Yeah, I thought we were just gonna touch on
I
it.
was,
like,
I was gonna say we talked a little bit.
So that's basically it for Captain Marvel.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, I think we can all kind of recommend, like, you should see it. Just again, where it's placed in the universe of Marvel, it's somewhat important. And if you have seen it, we'd love to hear your guys' opinion on it. Definitely, comment, all that good stuff, and let us know how you feel about the movie.